Yo, what up, what up, what up? My name is James Rico. If you haven't followed me before, welcome to my channel. I haven't posted that many things in the last few years because I've been forming another group called Real Goats, and you can check their channel out, Real Goats. It's a collaboration of filmmakers. I'm gonna fix my focus here. Um, Between me and a couple of my friends, my brother, my friend from Kansas, and another guy from Charlotte. And uh, the topic of film school, I'm just going to get right into it. Um, I personally didn't go to film school, and uh, for many years I thought that maybe I needed it as I was trying to figure out how to, you know, manage my way through. This here, it's kind of funky here. I'm on my phone, just streaming from my phone. And one thing that I'll mention that I think that don't be afraid to record things with your cell phone or record things with low quality cameras because it's not really the camera that's going to make the difference for you. It's gonna be just making the content. That's kind of the biggest lesson that you have to kind of take in. Uh, but I went to journalism school and I didn't learn anything about filmmaking. And after graduating, I was in this place of like, where the hell do I want to go? And I knew I didn't want to do news. And but I was like so interested in video and I didn't know like what to do. And so throughout high school and then I'm 34 now, but in high school when I was like 16, 17, I got into editing, and then eventually after college I graduated. I spent a long time in college, and I got out when I was like 26. I did a lot of education, majored in three different areas, and I thought those areas would be something that I would use in my life, and I do because I'm a psychology major and I'm a journalism major. But the journalism taught me to tell stories, and I love the aspect of telling stories, but I didn't like the way that they were news and journalism that teaches you to tell stories. They're so quick, and they always just want you to like make so many and just turn them out, and it just like felt like we weren't really spending that much time on it. So I think that's where my interest in filmmaking was, but I didn't think it was possible to be a filmmaker because I'm from Kansas. It's where I was born and raised and went to school, everything, all in Kansas. And, I started making music videos and got better and better over time. So after 4 years, I think I started in 2012. By 2011 is when I kind of started shooting music videos just for friends and like doing things for free and all this stuff. And as years went by, like in 2014, I really felt like maybe I should try to make a film, like a short film, and I did, and it won in like one of those 48-hour competitions, first place, and I got a directing award and stuff like that. And it was cool, at the time because I was like, oh man, this is like my first experience of doing a film, and all of a sudden I'm doing well. And I was like, so maybe I should think about it. That whole year, I didn't really take it that serious. I didn't make much films. I still made music videos. And I just thought it was implausible to be a filmmaker, it was like impossible. And then, the next year, the following year, I went to the competition again, made another film, short film that I didn't end up submitting because I just loved it so much. For some reason, I just like wanted to edit it longer, and I didn't want to just turn it in at 48 hours. And so uh, that really made me feel like I think I should take filmmaking more serious. And then I was just like from 2015 till now, I was just on this hardcore pursuit of I need to go to LA, and I want to push myself to get out of Kansas, and I want to push myself to be a filmmaker. Um, and this is not like a post about you have to be in LA, but you definitely need to be in a community that supports filmmaking. Um, Otherwise, you don't have opportunities. When you're in a smaller community, there's less opportunities to be on set, less opportunities to like get experience. And I think that's where everything lies. It's just getting on set and getting the real practical world experience. Right now, I'm doing this live from Bangladesh on a feature film. I'm gaffing it. If you don't know what a gaffing is, a gaffer does. It's just a lighting technician, and I worked my way up into understanding about having a good understanding about lighting. I still have so much to learn, but it's it's amazing. It's gonna be my fourth feature that I've done since 2017. So you can imagine within well, 2016. Sorry, 2016 is when I first did my first feature, and I gaffed that one. Didn't really know what the hell I was doing, but I got lucky enough to have a friend that entrusted me to help him. I DP'd so much up into 2016 that I learned enough lighting to kind of help his system. I just kind of figured it out on set and just kept working my way up. Fast forward, I eventually moved to LA in 2016. Like I had this big, strong dream of like I gotta go there, and I just did it with my brother and my friend. Like we were working together, and I just was, and we were doing very small projects. They weren't even big. They were still small projects, and I was like, we experienced that feature film together, and we're like, we can do this. We could really do this. We don't need to, you know, have affirmation or confirmation that we're good enough because we are. And so that little spark of belief and inspiration made us go to LA, and it sucked so bad the first few months. Probably like the first 6 months was just awful, just traditional like nightmare stories in LA. And eventually we got free of that by just working and constant belief that we can get at it and motivating each other constantly. Um, and then we met some people through networking, and we got to do a documentary. We filmed it. We had enough body of work to show that we're capable of like creating good content, and a guy was interested in bringing us to Vietnam with some skaters and filming a pilot show. And I was like, whoa, okay, this is gonna be crazy. So we went and did that, and again proved to ourselves that we were capable of actually being filmmakers. That was our first experience of making a documentary, like on a larger scale. It was a decent like budget as far as like what was spent to go do that. Um, and we were there for a month, filming, and just like living the dream. Even though it sucked so bad, it was so hard. It really tested us as like not only just people, but it tested us as filmmakers. Like, do we really love this? Do we really want to do this? And eventually, uh, we got back, and all of a sudden we were on a feature film. Like one of our friends shooting his feature in New York, and he invited us out. It was an NYU project, and then after that, because of working on that, worked on another one in December. So in a matter of like 5 months after we ended up doing a documentary and two features, and then my goal was to like focus on short films and like get more active in the LA community of filmmaking. So in 2018, beginning of this year, I really focused on just getting on sets from USC, UCLA, and I got in with a couple of cool DPs, and I just kept networking in there. I practiced the art of gaffing. I was being hired as a gaffer on those things, and I just worked hard, regardless if I was getting paid or not, or if he was getting paid very little. But I was getting on the onset experience, and that's what's extremely important. And so, fast forward, I've done a bunch of amazing music videos this year with Cole Bennett, and met a lot of cool artists because of him, and got to practice lighting for music videos even more, and then I applied for this position. I ended up going to France, shooting up, and you start studying, and you get on set, and you practice, and you practice, and you practice. But it took me from 2011 till now, 7 years, to start really moving, to like actually start really getting the things that I wanted. And so there's a sense of perseverance that you must have. You have to have the dedication. You have to have hard work and effort, and you have to study. YouTube has made it so easy for you to figure out everything about a camera, everything about color grading, editing, writing. There's just so many tutorials out there. There should be no reason why you can't figure out how to do something. And even this, my goal for vlogging is to help motivate you, the viewer, to understand that don't make excuses for yourself and feel like you have to go to film school or you need education to do it, because you don't. You definitely don't need to go to school. Film school is from what I've been given advice from students that have gone, or ex-students that have gone, like graduates of film school. They've told me, there's a lot of people that just don't take it as serious as you think. And really, film school is more about like the networking and building relationships through the years. So if it's something that you're seeking relationships, yes, film school is good for you because you could build some bonds with other students that may last for the rest of your life. But you could still do that outside that. Like a lot of my friends are NYU Tisch graduates, which is the master's program there. And then I have some friends that are in the UCLA graduate program, like that graduated or in it, and those are good friends of mine. But I made those outside. I didn't go, but I just met them, and I became friends with them because I was interested and I asked questions and I wanted to be around them and I helped them on their sets, and that's kind of how it went. I think just be friends with filmmakers, filmmaking students. You don't gotta go, and then make your own stuff and practice and learn and be accepted by them because they see that you didn't go but you know what you're doing. Um, Again, it's just the practicing of the art. It's not the information they give you does help, but you can learn it on your own outside with the internet. It's like there's no reason why you couldn't learn half this stuff on the internet. And it's just digesting, watching films constantly, and being unbiased about opinions when people say your stuff isn't good, or and understanding that you are gonna suck and you're gonna make a lot of shitty things, but all of a sudden, you're gonna start to see the improvement, and you're gonna start to see people embrace your work. Everyone has their own style, and when you try to emulate someone else's style, that's not being trusting your creativeness. You know, find your own voice, and it's easy to find because then all of a sudden you realize your voice or your style has been inspired by something early on in your age. For me, because of journalism, I really love documentaries, shooting styles. Um, I'm I wasn't as adapted to tripods or steady cams and stuff like that. I was always like shoulder or like handheld. And so I have become a really good handheld or shoulder mount operator because I'm used to the journalism background. And so you have to embrace that. You don't deny it. It took me a long time to like actually embrace the fact that that's the way I like to shoot because I was trying to shoot more like tripod, and I still love tripod and I still love Steadicam, and I love uh, I don't really love gimbals, but I love tracking shots and stuff like that, smooth tracking shots. But I had to learn how to shoot like that because I didn't come from that background, and I had to learn how to compose and let a frame tell more than uh, say so much within a simplistic composition. Um, and I become educated. I studied, and outside of that, I studied philosophy, and I studied more about human nature and all these things, and I paid attention to life. And now I am becoming more of a filmmaker than I ever have been because of those things. It's like once you learn the technical things of filmmaking, you don't even need them anymore because it's just an instinct. And then you start to digest films in a different way. You stop worrying about the camera. You stop worrying about what gear you have because people are so obsessed with gear and you don't need gear. And gear are just tools. Think of it like a mechanic. He has so many tools in his toolbox. but he only uses a certain kind when he changes tires versus changing engines or changing the oil. Same same thing. It's also it's just like any craft, any sport. You have certain tools that you know will work when you play. You don't always use every single one, but you use them at times when you need them. And that's how filmmaking is. It's the same thing. There's so many tools and rules that once you learn them, you can decide to use them or not. And that's why they say you can learn the rules to break them. It's not like you're supposed to follow every single rule. It's really like your taste. You could not agree with a rule, but you have to know it first, and you have to know it really well, and you have to get opinions, and you have to be objective and subjective. So there's a lot that goes into it, but just understand it doesn't. It will come in time. You won't be amazing for at least 5 years. I think you can get really good within the first year or two. You'll see major improvements after a year. And then 2, 3 years, it's kind of like really honing in and trying to figure out what your style is, and you're starting to become interested in other things. And then, yeah, I think by year 5, you're really becoming confident. Um, but the sooner you could push yourself to be confident, the better that you'll be. So just stay confident whenever you feel like you're doubting yourself. Just understand that it's going to take time. If you're definitely if you're new, but even if you're older, like you've been in it for like 8 years, uh, you got to just stay positive and understand that your time is coming. If you just keep putting yourself in the place, if you feel like you're stuck in a rut, you got to get it yourself out by going to LA or New York or some of the other major hubs of filmmaking. I personally don't see any other places besides New York and LA that are like very major markets besides Atlanta, that I feel like you should focus on. I think Austin, and there's some Texas, like Houston. I think that they have a lot of filming there. Miami, you'd think there's more filming, but there's like it's tight knitted, and there's probably like more commercial stuff or like big productions that are filming in Florida, um, meaning it's harder to get on because they're union. Uh, Anytime a production is union, it's extremely difficult to get on. Meaning big TV shows, movies, things like that. You basically have to work for free or as a PA, but that's not a bad thing. Work for free. Outside of that, please, I'm gonna wrap it up. Believe in yourself at all times. You gotta understand that failure is the part of the process, and you're gonna fail many times. But that also leads you to the success. If you avoid making mistakes and you avoid the failure, you're also avoiding your greatness and your success. You you have to understand that it's your mind that's gonna make you successful, and it's not the gear. It's never gonna be the gear. If you let the gear control you, you're gonna be useless. You have to allow your mind to be the reason that you become successful. With that, peace out.